The Emerald Coast is a vast place, and maybe you don't know which area to choose from. Okay, we do a lot of individual videos on different cities and things like that, but this time we're going to combine an entire little area, everything from Navarre all the way into Destin, and we're going to tell you about each one and how they're different and how they might be right for you. What is going on? It is Andrew and
AJ
with the Emerald Group right here on the Emerald Coast here in Florida. So that's everything from Pensacola to Panama City Beach and everything in between. And we do service that area as real estate professionals. So if you are curious even a little, reach out to us. All of our contact information is on the screen. And of course, if you are looking to find out everything there is to know about the Emerald Coast, you've come to the right place. Hit that subscribe button and jiggle that little bell so that you'll be notified every single time we do a new video.
We have been getting calls, texts, emails, and even comments on our videos from you guys reaching out, having questions, or have an interest in the area. We absolutely love it. Please keep those coming.
All right, let's jump right into the content. So we're talking everything from Navarre to Destin. These are some of the most popular areas in our area, at least a large clump of it. And a lot of people are always asking us, okay, well, it's between like Fort Walton and Navarre and Destin and Niceville. Like, which one do I choose? So we're going to break those down, give you kind of the different feel for each of those cities, what the traffic looks like, what cost of living looks like, what just the entire thing is going to kind of look like at a glance, so that you guys can hopefully help make a better decision for you and your families. So starting on the far west side of town, working our way all the way into Destin, which will be our last stop for the day, Navarre. What's it all about?
What is it all about?
I always think of it as kind of like the family-friendly version out of the four towns. Well, Niceville's pretty close too. We'll get into that in a second. But Navarre is definitely kind of a family feel. You're going to get a larger house generally for your buck. The prices are still semi-bearable. So
Semi-bearable.
There's that.
I think they're pretty decent. I would agree with you. The houses seem to be a little bit bigger. It's definitely more family oriented. You're not going to have as many like dinner options or, bar options. If you're a single person moving to the area, you're probably not really looking at Navarre unless you are maybe seeing somebody who's working in Pensacola and you're working on Hurlburt Field, and then maybe that would be a good middle spot. But for the most part, folks that are moving to Navarre are like families or maybe retired and moving to Navarre Beach, something like that. But if you're someone that wants to have like a big nightlife, you're probably not going to move to Navarre.
Yeah, there are definitely options for that out in Navarre, but it is not going to be the main kind of theme of the entire city.
It's definitely kind of like the calm between the storms, kind of equidistant between Pensacola and Destin, which both have, quite a bit of nightlife, a lot going on in the evenings. It's really easy to find something fun to do. There are a lot of events. But in Navarre proper, it's really just going to be, like the place you sleep, where you go to the beach, or maybe you have, get your groceries done. You'll have everything there that you need, but it's not going to be, a party area or like a culturally diverse area, really.
Yeah, but if you're one of those people that like to have 652 different eating options for every dinner, you're not going to have that as well. Although you're going to have way more than you know what to do with. It's just not going to give you the huge, abundant variety that you might find in either Fort Walton, Niceville, or Destin.
Right. Well, let's go ahead and move our way east. I like to kind of incorporate Mariester and Shalimar in with Fort Walton Beach area. And so moving directly east from Navarre, we come into our Fort Walton Beach area with all those areas that I just mentioned. And that's where you're going to start to see more of that nightlife. You're still going to have plenty of options for housing. And the other thing about that is now you're on the east side of Hurlburt Field. I mention that because this is where a lot of our traffic comes from. So when you're talking about living in Navarre versus living in Fort Walton Beach, you really need to take into consideration, where are you traveling to? Because if you have to pass Hurlburt Field in either direction, it's probably not going to be the most fun thing.
Yeah, depending on what your idea of bad traffic is, you can be sitting there anywhere from an additional 5 or 10 minutes all the way up to, in the worst case scenarios, up to an hour or even longer. Now, it's nothing like Destin, let's say, or 30A, Miramar Beach, stuff like that. But at times it can get pretty rough. And in Fort Walton, it's got its little spots too, but it does taper off pretty considerably, at least for most of Fort Walton. Generally in Fort Walton, most of the traffic that you're going to see is crossing over into the bridge onto Okaloosa Island.
I would also say, I would venture to say that Fort Walton Beach has a lot more older homes, and Navarre seems to have a lot more newer builds. So you're going to see, you know, a bit smaller square footage in Fort Walton Beach, a lot more properties that don't have garages. Whereas in Navarre, you're going to see a little bit bigger square footage. Most, I don't know if I want to say most, but a lot of properties, it's going to be more common to see garages and things of that nature. So just expect things to be a little bit smaller, a little bit closer together in Fort Walton Beach, and roughly the same price though.
Oh yeah, and the age of the homes is definitely very apparent as you're driving around, not just in the garages, but the overall feel for it. And that kind of goes in play with the number or lack thereof of new construction homes. In Fort Walton, it's definitely going to be on the lower side because they've been out of land for quite some time.
One of the benefits that we kind of touched on briefly to being in Fort Walton Beach is that you do have quite a bit to do right there in Fort Walton Beach. There's always some kind of event or something going on in downtown Fort Walton Beach. Plenty of options when it comes to where you want to eat. If you want sushi, or if you want Chinese food, or just fast food if you're in a rush, or some organic meals, there's just everything that you could possibly want is right there in Fort Walton Beach. So you really get a solid mix because you have that and some very well established neighborhoods as well, and quick access to either Hurlburt Field or Eglin as well. So it's a really solid option for those of you that are looking for a little bit busier of a time, don't really want to be out in kind of the slower town, you want a little bit more fast paced. This is a great option for you.
And the commute to just about anywhere from Fort Walton Beach seems to be one of the biggest perks, at least for me when I moved there. That was one of the biggest reasons I chose Fort Walton originally. A lot of it was the proximity to my job, which was at one of the bases. But not only to the military bases, but to a lot of other things, to Destin. I mean, that's 15 minutes away, depending on which part of Fort Walton you're in, which part of Destin you're going into. And then, of course, you could cross to Niceville or get over to Navarre. Really, it's kind of a good middle ground for the area.
Definitely. And you've got quick access to the beaches, too.
Oh, yeah.
You know, in Navarre, you've got Navarre Beach, and that's kind of where you're going to go if you're in Navarre, really. But if you're in Fort Walton Beach, you could go west over to Navarre, you could go east over, right over onto Okaloosa Island, which is where our favorite beaches are. Claza, I know you can attach our video here for our favorite beaches and have people go check those out if you're not familiar with them. But yeah, it's just a great location to have a solid mix of everything.
Niceville is probably, out of the 4 areas that we're covering today, I would say the most common place for people that are raising families where they want to live. Now, I'm not saying it's the best for families or anything like that. I'm just saying that seems to be the general consensus. A lot of people are building families. It's where they want to go. It seems like the schools out there a little bit better. They offer a lot more extra curriculums. And so that seems to be extremely attractive.
What's interesting is that Niceville kind of has like a Navarre feel. You know, it's not so built up. It's not so busy. You have quick water access to the bay. There are a couple of nice restaurants, but you've got that quicker access to Destin, whereas Navarre has a quicker access to like Pensacola and Fort Walton Beach. Well, Niceville has quick access to Fort Walton Beach as well. But Niceville has just parks everywhere, like nice parks. They're just like hidden around. It's awesome. You got Lincoln in this small space. You've got like at least 5, like Lincoln, Kiwanis, Turkey. Oh, there's another one right there. I kind of lump Valparaiso and Niceville in together. You've got a marina there, so you have a great spot to park your boat. It's an easy drive over the bridge to get over to Destin, so it's very well located and not a big touristy area. So the traffic tends to always move. You can get to Eglin very easily. If you're stationed at Hurlburt Field, I don't know that I would want to deal with that necessarily.
I know a lot of guys that would, but it's a little bit too far to drive for me personally.
Yeah, I mean, Eglin, definitely. Hurlburt Field, if you've got the patience for it, you know, Niceville is very nice. It's a great place to live. You've got a solid mix of new and older homes, so it's got a lot. It's just a very good and well placed or well located area. There's some really great restaurants there too. Not a lot of nightlife if you're a single person moving to the area trying to be in the mix of it all. So
Or a
again,
married person trying to have a nightlife. Let's leave them out. Jeez.
you know what I mean. I'm just saying there are like a bunch of bars that go like bar hopping. If that's your thing, you're gonna want to head down to Fort Walton Beach, which isn't a long drive. So it's cool because you can sleep at home and party away from home.
And that's absolutely right. Now, the feel and nice vibe, I would say, is a little bit different than all three of the other towns we're talking about today. It definitely feels more, just the scenery alone, more. I don't want to, this is going to sound bad when I use the word swamp, but it's got more of a swamp style feel, just meaning the trees. And, just like the overall, it seems more overgrown than, in Navarre, Fort Walton, Destin. Everything's been cut down and flat, and the trees have been demolished. And so definitely the vibe feels different. What's the right word? Not swamp.
It's not swamp because that's like water.
Yeah, it's definitely not like water.
Foresty,
yeah.
Foresty.
But, the vegetation's a lot higher. There's still huge oak trees in any of these areas, and not just oak trees, big trees that have been around for a long time, but in Niceville, they're more prevalent. Because the houses are spaced out a little bit more people have kept them, and it keeps that overall aesthetic in the town.
I would agree with that.
So now, after I trashed on Niceville, let's move over into Destin, our pride and joy, our crown jewel.
Our crown jewel.
Let's try that one again.
No, I think we should leave it.
It's terrible. So, talking about Destin, our crown jewel, now that I can say it right. Destin's the area that a lot of people know us from. It might even be where you're finding this video from. But living in Destin versus just visiting in Destin are two completely different stories.
Oh, definitely. So let's talk about just the traffic alone in Destin.
I'm just gonna go straight to the worst stuff possible.
Well,
I like it. No, I really do. I like it.
Oh, okay. So obviously, Destin's like a huge tourist area, right? Everybody's flocking there, but locals like living there too because a lot of folks work in Destin. So why would you want to fight traffic coming into Destin? No, you'd rather live in Destin, right? So we know that Destin is a huge tourist attraction, but what do you need if you're going to have a bunch of tourists? Well, you're going to need the infrastructure. Neither of us can speak today. To support the tourism, right? So you're going to have a bunch of locals that live here to support everybody coming to visit. So why would someone who has to work here, why would they want to travel from farther distances, to get to work? So a lot of locals want to live in Destin as well. So we've got all kinds of traffic coming in from different areas, these little neighborhoods, these pocket neighborhoods, and then all of the short-term rentals along the water. Everybody's trying to fight to get to where they want to be. Tourists want to go and party. Locals want to go and party. Get to work.
Or go home.
Definitely go to work or go to sleep. Definitely not here to party. So it just means for a lot of vehicles on the road. So there's a lot of congestion right there in Destin. But also means there's a lot to do.
There's so much to do in Destin. As anybody knows that has visited here, the nightlife is, of course, very strong, but also the restaurants and just the overall things to do, whether it's going to a water park like Big Kahuna's, going to an arcade, going to feed the gators over at Fudpuckers, going to go eat the gators over at Fudpuckers. They don't get the same ones that they let you pet, but they do serve gator bites. It's a real thing.
So you can name them and then eat them.
Yeah. I don't think you should. That sounds like crazy people behavior, but you could maybe be the next Florida man. I don't
know. And this was the guy that was caught in so-and-so's yard, and now we'll serve him on your plate. And not just, places for pay, but also like over at the jetties. That is so much fun going and snorkeling over there. And you got the little mohawk guys. That's what I call them. They're these fish. I never remember what they're called, but they hang out on the rocks. They've got these little mohawks and they're super cute. The fish are so used to people swimming around them that they're just like, yeah, what's up, bro? And they just swim right next to you. You see sea turtles all the time. Mm-hmm. A couple random sharks, but they don't really care about you. So it's just kind of cool to see them. That doesn't mean go try to pet them or anything like that.
Let's not do that.
Don't be our next Florida man.
And then, of course, you've got easy access to Crab Island. Should you decide to do that, you can literally take a water taxi on a random Tuesday if you wanted to go out there, have a little bit of fun, see that great sandbar. For those of you guys who haven't seen that video, we will throw it up here for you, so you can click on that at any time.
All right, that about sums it up. We've covered Navarre, Fort Walton Beach, Niceville, and Destin. And remember, there are little, pocket areas in there that we've kind of incorporated into those bigger areas because you really get the same feel in those smaller areas. But if you do have any questions about, say, Mariester or Shalimar or Gulf Breeze or something like that, go ahead and comment down below with whatever questions that you have, and we'll be sure to get back with you as soon as we can. Until next time.
See ya.